Hey, aloha everybody. This is Jivananda here.
And I'm Christy.
And we're here with the Avatria Akashic Academy. And today,
we're going to talk about being an empath and being highly sensitive. Because here's the thing, we've been coming across a lot of people who are empathic and who have this high sensitivity and are feeling a little bit challenged by it. And I'm an empath, and you're an empath, and we've developed our own tools and techniques over the years that, turn this challenge actually into something positive. And we truly believe that these abilities, if you have the right tools, if you have the right muscle strain, can actually become something really, really beautiful and empowering for you.
Yeah, because, on a greater level, there's something very significant around all of us being empathic. Obviously, this is something that is kind of innate, to the human being as well as to the sentient beings in general, just because the way Gaia is all so interconnected. It's all one big web of life, and consciousness is, imbued throughout all of it. And so being empathic is really, it's our natural organic state. At essence. Yeah. And the reason that a lot of us aren't empathic, is because of our human history in the last, 10,000 years of sorts, through different traumas and different, scenarios that happen culturally and in different places that change the lifestyles and the habits from the human's ability to be organically in communion with creation and everything around it. And we shifted our focus, in other ways to other things, which sort of began to cut our connection off. And
we often also had to put a shield around us because being sensitive or being empathic was often connected to some kind of pain. So we kind of shut down a lot of these abilities over the millennia, over the centuries, in order to survive in a world that was not really set up to support someone who had a lot of sensitivity, a lot of empathy, and a widely open heart.
Yeah,
but as the consciousness of this planet is shifting, a lot of people are finding these abilities again. And I believe it's because we haven't trained them for so many, again, centuries or millennia, that this is where the challenges arise.
Yeah, it's like Christy's sharing, it's the awakening of consciousness is returning again. We're figuring out that, we actually don't want to be fighting and living in separation from everything and everyone, or only defining ourselves as one quality or aspect of our personality, strength and so on and so forth. We actually want to incorporate the whole being again, and so there's this whole revival and awakening of sensitivity. And instead of, shunning it, or being afraid of it, or having it feel like it's a disturbance, we really want to highlight the reason and the significance of why it's coming back into our lives and how to work with it. Because it can obviously feel often quite awkward in a world and a society that's not really set up for the empath.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's very disturbing conditions that we often will find ourselves in the modern society that become very jarring to the empathic being. And so, more or less, we're here to share with you, our own relationship and the significance of what it means to really go into that and learn how to work with it for the benefit of your own awakening and the benefit of the whole purpose of why it's starting to return.
And I want to share a little bit about the history of what I channeled about Atlantis and Lemuria. Because, see, the thing is, during the golden age of Atlantis, everything on Gaia was vibrating with this beautiful high vibration. It was really the energy of love, of joy, of support. And people walked around with an open energy field. They walked around with an open heart because the environment was nurturing it, was nourishing it. So having an open field was just for everybody's also higher purpose. It was giving them energy instead of draining the energy, or it was giving them energy instead of having lower frequencies coming in that put them down.
Yeah, and it was just what we were. We didn't think about it being any other way. We just were connected, to Gaia, and most specifically to obviously more galactic and celestial origins and things.
Yeah. And then when we go even further back to the times of Lemuria, we lived in a very synergistic relationship with all of creation. The plants, the rocks, the elements,
Yep, the
water, fire, earth. We've had that oneness with everything, so there wasn't even a separation between this is my energy field, this is yours. Everything was this one beautiful energy field of love and of oneness.
And that's where the more or less empathic, psychic, telepathic, communions was like, it was just full, everything was just boom, totally blasted in the awareness. It was all kind of a sense of perception and being able to maneuver through that consciousness of perceiving everything around you as a part of you, but also having a distinct expression yourself. So that was kind of the height where it was just like woven in the fabrics of life, and there was no separation between the weave.
Exactly. And I believe, the reason why so many people are struggling right now is because we're remembering what it used to be to have that synergy and to live in that feeling of oneness. We are remembering what it was like to live in the golden age of Atlantis and have our field open and really receive that cosmic energy and receive the nurturing frequencies of our environment and to receive the nourishing energies of Gaia. But yet, our environment, as Jivananda said, is not set up yet, at least, not yet, to support it.
That.
Or a lot of the environment, at least, isn't.
Well, exactly.
So, we're opening our field the way we had it in Atlantis, or we're connecting in the way it was in Lemuria. But our environment is still different. It's still coming out of that third dimensional vibration. It's still coming out of the trauma from everything that has happened on this planet.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, thinking about an analogy of restoring the weave of that blanket, right? And each thread of, a particular weave symbolizing that interconnectedness of communication, of empathy, of feeling, of perception, of the awareness and creation and the life forces and vibrations around us, And so, one aspect of it is really, like I was saying, about repairing the thread, repairing that weave. And then the other aspect is just the reality that we have so many things present in our physical life now that we're never part of that empathic reality, that we just kind of have to be accept that we are in kind of an age of materialism and an age of quote-unquote modernism that has technologies that definitely compete with that empathic reality, and how to work with that and not feel shut down or zapped or fried, or that you can't go to certain places because you're just too sensitive, or overwhelmed with that.
And kind of like the human collective, and Mother Gaia herself is currently healing all the traumas from the 3D, all the memories of everything that happened during that separation. So are we. So as long as we also carry our own traumas within, our own pain, our own sadness and grief, it kind of allows or opens our energy field to taking in the lower vibrational frequency of the environment. So with every single thing that we heal about ourselves, our energy field becomes stronger, and we're becoming less and less susceptible to the environmental energies. The more we're returning to our pure divine state of love, the less we're going to absorb things from the collective, from the people around us that are currently still in the process of clearing.
Yeah, it's like the less the wounds that you carry are triggered by those outside influences, and make it challenging for you, and like put you on alert, or bring anxiety or anxiousness into the field, and make you kind of on alert. And as Christy's sharing, the more that we learn to heal, it's really, once again, it's like healing that. It's like if it's a cable, if it was a cable and that's used for communication, the more that we heal that cable. Sorry, we have there's a school behind us, and I guess that's the third and final bell. Anyway, but the more we heal that cable, And if you see it as a living cord, you know, it's going to be, there's going to be a wound there.
Yeah.
But when you heal that wound and you reestablish that connection, you know, so what we're basically saying is you learn to, you know, to find the courage to embrace your empathic, you know, energy, you embrace your sensitivity, and you learn, you know, what environments maybe make you a little more vulnerable and what environments really enhance and support that connection. You know, this is what it's all about, because when you finally hear those traumas, you know, like Christy's sharing it, your field just begins to open and strengthen, and you no longer feel affected by these outside influences that can often be very disturbing.
Yeah.
And
I think you already mentioned everything in this universe is frequency, and every emotion has its own vibration. So emotions such as guilt or grief or shame or pain vibrate down here, and love vibrates up here. So if you're vibrating, holding on to these old traumas that cause pain and grief within your cellular memory, you are connected to the lower vibrations around here. But then again, imagine the lower vibrations here, and you're moving in a place of joy and love and happiness and union and self-acceptance, self-respect. You're going to be vibrating over here. You're going to be vibrating above those third-dimensional traumatic frequencies. So the kind of, you know, what Jivananda and I just shared, the more you clear your own pains and traumas, the higher your frequency, and yet the less, or the bigger the distance to any kind of lower vibrational frequencies down here.
Yeah, and you know, I think it might be helpful to share with you some of our own personal experiences, maybe growing up, a few stories of being a child and what we were sensitive to, and how we sort of learned to cope and deal with that a little bit in our environment, just to kind of give you some more insight, maybe that you can relate to, and potentially a little insight of maybe how, you know, you can move through it. So, is there anything that you'd like to share in that realm of early childhood, or remembering when you were younger and feeling empathic, or any time in your life that you feel like there was something you'd share, you'd like to share?
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. Well, when I remember being a little kid, you know, empath, highly sensitive people are not just sensitive to energies, but they're also sensitive to words. So I remember being a little kid, and if someone said something mean, it might have not been able to me, but to someone else, I could feel that energy around me, and it was really disturbing for me to have someone be mean to one another. Or my dad would always watch the 8 o'clock news, and sometimes I just happened to walk into the living room and I saw all the things that were going on in the world, and I saw the war and the destruction, and it totally disturbed me to see it and to feel it, and made me really upset and really sad. And I think what helped me was actually doing the work with the Akasha, where I started clear, you know, as an adult, starting to clear my own traumas, my own memories, because I felt it was my own traumas of past lifetimes where I might have experienced war, and then I would see it on television that would bring up my own triggers. It would be, you know, me being told, I don't know, maybe I wasn't good enough, or people saying horrible things to me, that then got triggered as someone else said horrible things around me. Again, not even to me, but to other people or other kids around me. And the more I started clearing these triggers within myself, the less I actually felt triggered by my environment. Yeah. Do you have a story or something?
Well, yeah, I mean, what I was thinking about is, you know, when I was a child, I recognized that, and it's also important to realize too that, you know, empathy goes beyond just this sort of like picking up other people's emotions and things in the field, that it's like everything is kind of connected to that empathic, you know, experience where you're feeling your environment, you know, and some of us, you know, are really sensitive antennas, and other of you know, the frequency is really dull and low, you know, and there's lots of different things that obviously you can do to increase your sensitivity when you become confident in working with this, and you recognize that, you know, you're ready to really embrace this. But what I was wanting to share was thinking about, you know, when I was younger, I was very sensitive to smells and sounds. And I think that this is it's that way for a lot of children. Even if you have a lot of energy, and me as a child, I usually like to make a lot of noise, but that was different for me because it was coming from my own inner creation of joy and connection. But it's like, sounds from the environment around me that were more of a destructive sound, or something that had to do with cars or traffic or buildings or, trucks or bulldozers or something like that, I always had almost like a devastating impact. You hear a bulldozer bucket like hit the pavement, and it's like, boom, 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 it would send a reverberation through my being and almost like make my bones ache for a quick moment. And as a 4-year-old, it was like shocking, like you're not really understanding what you're experiencing. But on an empathic level, it's like you're experiencing a significant energy that's like distracting you from the connection or the harmony or the balance that's taking place in nature. It's a very specific energy that's basically disrupting your environment, and that's what you're getting. You're getting that hit of disruption, like taking you out of your intimate connection, and it's like, whoa, what is that? And once again, the only reason we are empathic and that it's starting to open up in these ways is because it's here to show us that communication and connection to everything is a part of us. And if there's something going on, we are capable of perceiving it in our environment. So what is that separation that's taking place? What does that mean? And how am I going to process that information to maybe organize my life differently because of it, and so on and so forth. And then the same thing with scents and smells, things that came from the man-made world, like strong chemicals, obviously. Cleaning products were huge as a kid, when my parents weren't conscious about it and I had no idea. Or you go into different environments. I mean, such a separating and shocking, almost traumatic experience to go into these environments where you're feeling such a, alert. It's like alert, like this isn't okay. This isn't natural. This isn't life, it's but as a kid you didn't really know what you were experiencing. And so these are two things, the smells and the sounds, and how their vibrations really influence my being. And I just remember, as a young child, like processing things that I would, hear and or smell and often see as well too, and not quite know where to go with those emotions because they were often so disturbing on a lot of levels, and so learning how to receive that information and be able to accept that it's telling you something, and it doesn't always have to be jarring when you get to the point of recognizing how that separation from nature, the course that humanity has gone, was kind of this course through history, and coming to terms, like Christy was saying, with healing your own relationship and recognizing the ways that we've personally in our own lives or in our own past lives, how our own path took us away from that connection, and how it's now bringing us back. And what we can do to sort of accept and heal, educate and share within our own lives, families and communities, as well as, as far as your reach can possibly go, about restoring that connection.
And then learning specific tools and techniques that support you in that process. And I just want to share with you real quick, when I moved to Los Angeles, I didn't have these tools and techniques, and which was not a good idea. And I lived right in the heart of Hollywood, or Hollyweird, as some people are saying. And I would go out just like to the grocery store or go to school, and I would be drained and exhausted, and I had to come back home and just like lay down and sleep. And I didn't sometimes even want to leave the house because the energy felt so heavy. Or every moment I had, I would just like go to the ocean and walk along the beach because the ocean air and the water felt really healing and cleansing to me. And I'm like, I wish I had these tools when I lived in Los Angeles the first few years, because it was really a struggle. Because what happened is I allowed my environment to imprint onto me. And so of me imprinting on the environment with, like, let's say, happiness and love and joy. And I feel like that's what a lot of empaths do. Instead of like expanding your field and knowing how to strengthen it, you go into an environment that doesn't feel good and your field starts to contract. And then you come home and you feel heavy, or you absorb certain energies. So it's really important to learn these tools and techniques so they empower. You can be empowered.
So you don't have to be influenced by them, constantly under their influence, rather than under the influence of what you want to experience, which is that joy and divine communion with the brilliance and love of creation, instead of the man-made separation, artificial, forced reality.
Or that you don't have to limit yourself because you're saying, I don't really want to go there because I'm going to pick up energy, so it's too many people. That you really have these techniques and you can go out of being completely empowered in your own energy.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different tools that Christy and I have recently kind of highlighted and laid down in a course that we are getting ready to release and share, for the sensitive and highly empathic individual. And, it's things that we've developed over our, course of our life that have been really helpful, and most of the tools we use every single day. And so, if you're someone who is energetically and vibrationally sensitive, we highly recommend checking it out, because it's made such a big difference in our life, and continues to ultimately be this really beautiful relationship of discernment, of recognizing that you no longer have to be sort of a victim of your environment, that you can actually learn how to take charge of that relationship and empower it in the way that you want it to be, rather than just the way that it is.
And some of these tools are super simple and also super fast to apply. Let's say you're at a job, you're picking your kids up from school, and you just have like a minute to sit and wait. You can apply some of these tools and it will just like change your energy in a moment. So it's the tools, like Giovanna said, that we use in our everyday life, and we felt like we wanted to share it with you empath and highly sensitive people out there, so you can start using them in your everyday life and really train that muscle of your own self-empowerment and strength and love and everything you need to embrace that sensitivity, to embrace the empathic abilities, and
to keep going further, keep diving deeper, because when you have the proper tools, you have the proper shields, you have the proper connection and empowerment, it's really those strengths that allow us then to go further on our journey, keep diving in to the depths of creation, reality, love, and consciousness. Without them, it's hard to even embark on that journey. It's like, it's too much and overwhelming, so anyway,
so go to our site avature.com, and because we'll be announcing it over there and also in our newsletters.
Feel free to check it out. Well, we're having so many more things kind of spiral out from the release of this this course that we're offering from there, and we're really excited about it. So tune in and check it out, and we'd love to see you there.
Namaste.
Aloha.